As you're probably aware by now, there's been some controversy surrounding the fact that the Middle-earth depicted in the new Lord of the Rings of Power TV series has more diversity than was described in Tolkien's original work, and when fans have complained that this is not an accurate representation of the races of Tolkien's world, they're basically told that they're racist. Considering the world of Middle-earth was based on Celtic, Gaelic, and Germanic folklore and ancient mythology, and considering the books were written by Tolkien between 1937 and 1949, at a time when Britain was entirely demographically homogenous, I think it's fair to say that all audiences are asking for is historic and contextual accuracy in the depiction of the characters and the world that Tolkien created. At this point, I'm just disappointed that the Tolkien estate gave Amazon the rights to make this series in the first place. The series is not being well received by audiences, as you can see from the Rotten Tomatoes score, 84% from critics and just 39% from audiences at the time of making this video. And it's a similar story on Metacritic, where the Metascore based on 37 critic reviews is 71, but the user score is only 2.5. But from the reviews I've read, the primary criticism that people keep bringing up is the fact that they think the writing is poor and the show is boring and uninspiring. In the series so far, Galadriel is depicted as being perfect and heroic, while many of the male characters around her are weak or just unlikable. In this regard, the writing is all too familiar because it's similar to most modern feminist films and TV series in Hollywood. But anyway, I want to move on now and talk about this article from Bounding into Comics. Amazon confirms new review system preventing users from leaving feedback on the Rings of Power until 72 hours after its premiere. Claims waiting period introduced to stop review bombing from trolls. In the latest move by Hollywood and corporate America at large, for that matter, to silence dissent against their narrative acceptable products under the loose guise of fighting internet trolls, Amazon has unveiled a new initiative to delay user reviews for any given piece of content added to their Prime Video service. Its existence confirmed to Variety by an Amazon representative on September 2nd, after users of all opinions towards the series noticed that their criticisms were not being automatically listed under the Lord of the Rings of Power. The company's new system now requires 72 hours to pass after a film or series premieres before users can leave it feedback. According to the trade news outlet, if a review is left within this 3-day debut window, each critic is then evaluated to determine whether it's genuine or a forgery created by a bot, troll, or other breed of digital goblin. Now, call me paranoid, and this is just my opinion, but I have this strange feeling that this change may not have been made had the reviews been overwhelmingly positive. What do you think? Anyway, the article continues. However, this disingenuous framing of the audience score ignores the fact that while many of the series' negative reviews were left by those who understandably and arguably rightly rejected the Rings of Power solely for its wanton butchery of Tolkien's vision, a vast majority of them came from fans who, as evidenced by their direct critiques of the episodes themselves, gave its premiere a chance and still found themselves disappointed. This is very true. Putting aside audience criticisms about there being more diversity casting in the series, most of the criticisms I've read have been primarily focused on how bad the writing is. The complaints were mostly things like people found the dialogue bland, the characters poorly written, and the show to be boring and not in keeping with the spirit of Tolkien's vision. Sounds a lot like how modern Star Trek isn't in keeping with the spirit of Gene Roddenberry's vision. Now, more than any other franchise or pop culture property that has been utterly ruined by the mediocre writing and creative bankruptcy of modern Hollywood these days, the desolation of The Lord of the Rings is perhaps the most egregious, because the world of Tolkien is based upon ancient European myths, legends, culture, and folklore. And you don't mess with that kind of stuff. Yes, Lord of the Rings and the world of Middle-earth is fictitious, but to many longtime fans, this highbrow literary work, which embraces tradition and celebrates the virtues of heroism, self-sacrifice, honor, duty, and themes of redemption, hope, and the battle between good and evil, to many, The Lord of the Rings represents something bigger. It's more than just a work of fiction. It's a sacred work inspired by Christianity and is therefore a work that is deeply rooted in spirituality. So, this is why I'm not surprised by the massive backlash that the Rings of Power series has received from audiences. Because the themes that I've mentioned in Tolkien's work, they appear to be in short supply in this series. Of all the properties for Hollywood to reimagine and creatively and thematically butcher, Lord of the Rings is simply a step too far. And in my opinion, there is no one in Hollywood who could do Tolkien's work any justice. I don't think there's anyone who could write to that level. The writing in most modern Hollywood TV shows and movies is very poor now. And we're seeing that in the Rings of Power as well. They just can't hold a candle to the original Tolkien work. So guys, that about does it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of the new Amazon series, The Lord of the Rings of Power? Thanks very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.